So good afternoon. This is Dr. David A. Paget. This is week 2 of the Atlanta Metropolitan State College Faculty GIS workshop. Today is June the 18th. And so I'll pull up our plan. Oops, well, I guess I should share my screen first. Okay, so this is a kind of rough outline agenda for week 2. And so the first thing we'll do, which is not on the agenda, is take a look at the exercises from last week very briefly. I might get a couple of you all to share your screen at that point. And then I'm going to go into a presentation called Democratizing Geospatial Technology, which includes one major example of students using the technology as in a service learning effort. And then I have several modules, not for us to specifically complete, but what I want us to do is start to look at different modules or exercises and start to think about an exercise that you might use in your class. And so next week I want you to kind of go look at these exercises, and I'll lead you. I'll give you some leeway as far as which ones would fit who best, and perhaps we can next week we'll start to rough out some exercises. So one of the objectives of the workshop is for each of us to have at least one exercise that we can start thinking about or get into some kind of draft format for delivery in the fall. At least that's the plan. So please, for next week, bring a syllabus. And so we'll really next week have a working session on getting at least an exercise for each of you all ready to go for your classes. And like I said, I don't expect for the exercise to be completely complete by the end of this workshop, but I can, continue to work with you individually throughout the summer so that you'll be ready to deliver those in the fall with, of course, proper assessment and evaluation techniques, however you would like to go about assessing your students' outcomes. So I'm going to go to the course workshop website, and I'm going to take a look at what we have here, and perhaps Jamie, but what? Okay, that's not all right. Let's look at user number 2. Oh, Brian Crawford, he's here today. Okay, Dr. Crawford. Yes, yeah, Dr. Crawford.
Yes.
Would you happen to have would you mind sharing the link to your map?
Let's see if I can access that. I'm on this mobile device. Let me see if I can.
Oh,
Actually, I can access it. Let's see if I can. I'm going to go to my assignment, what I turned in, and I can copy it from there. Let's see assignments. Let's see submissions. Okay, I'm downloading. Oh, this is 10 megabytes. Okay.
yeah. Is that the Word document?
Yes.
Yeah, if do you have just the link to the map that you could put in
Right.
the chat?
Okay. I'm a copy it and paste it from the Word
Yeah.
document. Okay, let's go down and okay, this is weird, but it's happening. Let's make this happen. I'm gonna have to memorize this.
Or read it out and we'll read it back to you.
Okay. I got one copy. Let's see if this works for you all. Let's see, chat. And let's see if I can paste it here. Okay, see if that does anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is from. Wait. Okay. Well, we'll roll with this one.
Controversial landmark, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually. Uh. Yeah. We'll just. Actually, I'm in your exercise 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was looking for, but we'll get to that second one
Okay.
later. But
Exercise one.
yeah, it's on. Yeah, it's on the one that's on the screen. Yeah, the hometown geography map. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you submitted a screenshot or a PNG, but
Yes.
not the actual link to the map.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can.
Dr. Crawford, I could see the controversial monument link. It worked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one worked. Yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, but this is the only person that turned in the hometown geography map assignment.
Let's see. I got it from. I copied the data from. If I go back into ArcGIS, it should allow me to access that, right?
Yes. If you go back into your, well, why don't we do this? I will. But you said you're on a mobile device. You're not on a PC.
Yeah. So let me see if I can. I think I might be able to manipulate this to get me what I want. I have to go to. I'm gonna go back to the where it told me to go. After the training, it tells you to go to the mapping. I think I need to go back to the original assignment. I just need to link again to ArcGIS. Well, no, I can do that.
Yeah, you should have your account and password. Well, yeah, but it might not work on a mobile device. Let's Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just demonstrate the final result again um, for everyone, and then we will. Was anybody else able to complete the the first assignment, the icebreaker?
Dr.
Oh,
Paget, I completed it, but I completed it and I recall saving it, but I can't find it in my ArcGIS, nor could I find it in my Word document. I'm not sure what
oh,
happened.
okay. I'm gonna stop my share and then allow. Are are you able to share your screen, Dr. Ravi?
No. I couldn't pull it up. I couldn't pull it up. I searched for it to submit, but I couldn't get it, nor can I find it in my ArcGIS. I should have it saved in ArcGIS, right?
Yeah, if you can
I
just go,
was able
can you get into your ArcGIS online account?
Mm-hmm.
I was able to access my account. Once
Oh,
I get on the map, it should be saved somewhere. I saved it.
yeah,
It should.
yeah, if you're able to, okay, I'll let me go back and share again. So if you're in your account, let me see if my account is.
So I want to open an old map.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that. So if you're in your account,
Hmm.
let's see which one. Yes, if you log into your account like so,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you go to where it says content, and then click on content,
Okay.
you'll see all of your maps here. Um,
Okay. Let's
and
see.
like here's mine. Yeah, so just go to content, and then you'll have a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
less
I got it. I
this.
got it. Yeah, it's there.
So yeah, so
Okay.
Dr. Rob, oh well, who wants to go first?
I'm going to share. Um, I'm going to copy this link for this one.
Okay, yeah. So we'll start off with Brian first. It's basically going to be the same map, um, but this is what we're doing now is basically the exercise I go through with the students, have them do what I call a map demonstration. Okay, so we have okay, here we go. All right, so so I usually have or require the students to do a map demonstration, and so in the map demonstration, I asked them to do some pretty basic functions, uh, or I'll ask a question. I'll ask a simple question. Well, which city has the largest population? And then I'll usually walk them through it. They'll go here, change style, and then here are all the attributes, all the fields that are in the spreadsheet. And so this population, yeah, that from last week. Okay, well, while we're here, why don't I try to fix this one while we're here? So this shouldn't be like this. So let's go back to the spreadsheet, and let's see what could possibly be going wrong here.
Are you sharing your screen now?
Not sharing my screen. I'm having a conversation with myself. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet, and so let's do some troubleshooting. So the problem is with this set of data. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to make sure that they're all formatted as number with 0 places behind the decimal. That may or may not fix the problem. So I'm going to save it, file, save as, and I'm going to save it as, I'm going to call this demo 2 just to differentiate from the original. And remember, we're going to save it as a CSV comma delimited file. And save, and then okay, yes, it's going to give you all kinds of strange error messages. Just go right through them. And now I'm going to go back into ArcGIS Online. And go back to map. Okay, so I'm in my map now because obviously I can't update Dr. Crawford's map. So let's see. So now I'm in the demonstration mode, add layer from file, and we're going to get that file, the AMSC demo 2 CSV file that was just created, and import the layer. Don't worry about that error message. Now let's see if we can get this population to work. It's something that's still wrong. Anytime you have a numeric data, it should behave similar to, I guess the only one we have that's also let's do average elevation and see what happens. See, the elevation worked out. It did what it was supposed to. So now we can use the software to compare, in this case, quantitative data, in this case, population of each city. In this case, elevation of each city. But something got corrupted with the population data, but the population data should show up like this also. Then, of course, we can look at.
Did somebody use a comma or something like that?
Excuse me? Somebody
may have used a comma.
No, a comma wouldn't affect it. I don't know what is going on. I mean, it's something. This is always something. But that's fine. It happens, you know. But this one behaved correctly. So let's. I'm going to stop sharing, and Dr. Rob,
Dr. Paget, you knew that there was. How did you know there was something wrong with the data? I mean, you made the Excel spreadsheet, right? And we just populated it. So
yeah, there's something in the code in the spreadsheet is causing it to not read as a number. It's reading as text. And so when it reads as text, then this is what you get. You get, it doesn't give you a quantitative result. It just gives you the same result as the names. So as you can see, those.
So it'll just give you the numbers back, the list.
Yeah, so that it's giving you the same thing as if we did each person's name, which it shouldn't do. So this, but this should be, this is fine. This is qualitative information. But if we want, say, I think we used the GIS experience. Wait a minute. Oh shoot, am I not sharing my screen? I'm sorry. Oh Lord. Okay, so what I was saying was that here we have qualitative data, and again, this is also a good way to demonstrate the difference between qualitative and quantitative data to students. So here are just some names, or we could change this to the name of a mountain range. And so here we have that here. But
What would happen if you format the cells, highlight all the cells, format them, and then click number?
Yeah, I just,
Uh,
that's what I just did. It didn't work.
okay.
So there's something
Okay.
else going on. I mean, who knows? And but then, you know, also we're translating the data from, you know, we're going from here, which is the shared data sheet, and then pulling that down onto the hard drive. Anything can happen, you know, in that translation. And so it also, you know, like I said, I call these all teachable moments. There are no mistakes. And so I really emphasize to the students, you know, why you really have to pay attention to what you're doing and not just blow through it and not pay attention. But it's okay if they make mistakes. I mean, it happens, and then we just have to fix it. But I'm not gonna spend time now figuring out how to fix it because that could take a while. But we did have the GIS experience. I think that one worked out okay last time. But instead of me doing this, I want to, yeah, Dr. Robbie, can you share your screen? And let's see. So I'll just demonstrate what I usually do in walking students through a map demonstration.
May I share my screen now?
Yes.
What would you like me to share?
Your map, your version of the map I just showed from GIS assignment 1. Okay, so we're zoomed all the way.
Can you see it?
Yeah, oh yes, yes.
So I went to Chennai, South India. And I did draw a line to the nearest mountain, which is St. Thomas Mount, but I do not see that line here. It was a nice blue line.
Oh yeah, that's not going to stay on. That's the measure tool. Yeah, that's just to measure how far it is. Okay, so go to see where it says details in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah, click on that and then bring your legend in. Okay. Okay. So were you able to save the database as a CSV?
I thought I did. And I thought I added the layer and all of that. But
oh, you might not have saved the map. That's probably what happened. So well, let's do it again. If you go to add.
Can you give me 1 second? Because there's another map. Let me just double check if it's not that one. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay, yeah, if you look in your content. Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe it's in your content. Yeah. Oh, yeah, just go to, okay. Yeah, it might be in your content. I'm sorry. Yeah, so
could it be this one?
It's one of those. Did you, okay. This might, okay, this looks like, okay. This looks like your, this looks like the map for the homework assignment.
Yeah,
maybe it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, that's what it is.
If you go back into content and then pull up the map for what we started. Yes, we go to content and then yeah, there we go.
And should I open it in?
You can open it in, just click right on the map itself. Yeah, and it'll open up. Okay, go to your legend. Bring your legend in. Just click right on where it says legend.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. So yeah, either you didn't save the map or something else went wrong. So just go to add, and do you know where and then add layer from file? Are you, yeah. Yeah, just click on add layer from file. And do you know, okay, that's a Word document. What's in that arch? Oh, that's from home.
That's the
Oh,
homework.
okay.
Let me check
So,
my Excel file. Maybe I didn't. Maybe give me 1 second. Let me check my Excel file.
okay.
Oh, here it is, the Excel file, right?
Yeah, well, the CSV file. So that one should work. Oh,
Right. This is the one, right?
yeah. And then I think that looked like it was a CSV, but you can save it as a CSV, and it should be.
Yeah, it is saved as CSV.
Oh, okay. So it's already in format. So now you can go back to ArcGIS Online, and then pull it in from wherever it is now. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
This is one.
Open, and then import layer. Okay, and yeah, okay, so there it is. So now the next thing to do is hit that save button. See where it says save? Right in the middle of this, right in the middle. Go to your right, keep going to your right. Go up.
Share print.
To your left, to your left, to your left.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
sorry.
Then you'll have to give it a name. I think the map already, yeah, you already saved it. So now you've actually saved it with, you can add, just hit save map. It should save, you hit save map. You don't have to enter all that till later on.
Oh.
Yeah, just as long, now you have the map saved so your points won't disappear. And so usually, now you can go, but hit the done button. Okay, well, now go back up. See right below where it says GIS course North. See that circle, triangle, and the square right to the left. You see a little yellow circle, like down. Right below the title. Go to right there. No, right there. Yeah, the change style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you click there, and that brings you back into the place where you can change what is shown on the map. So if you click the attributes there, just open up that, not there. Just hit that X, the little X. See that X that's remove, yes. Yeah, so little arrow, the drop down menu arrow. Yeah, now you can change that to, let's change it just to scroll up.
Major discipline?
Change it to hometown city. We'll just have the names of the cities, and then hit we'll just take a moment, hit done. So now we'll just have, and then if you go to the legend and bring your legend back up, yeah, okay, now we know which city is which. And so sometimes I'll ask the students to answer a question one way or the other. So of course our population data is somewhat corrupted, but if I ask the question, well, which city is the largest in terms of human population, there's another way to find that answer. So I always tell the students that, this tool can be used a number of different ways. So okay, right now we obviously can't symbolize population the way we want to, but if you click on content, and then see that little thing next to the circle, square, and triangle, that looks like, yeah, that little thing looks like a spreadsheet. Not there. No. Yeah, right there. If you hit that, then that brings up your attribute table, and now you can simply scroll through the attribute table and see the data, and then you can answer students can answer the question that way. So and it just really gets them used to using the software. And that's the key, is that, like I said, sometimes I don't mind if students make mistakes, because it forces them to take their time using the software. If the exercise was designed so that it was error proof, then the students wouldn't have the time to go through and troubleshoot and look at the data and look at different options for solving problems with the software. So, I don't mind. I don't ever make an assignment where there's no chance of the students making a mistake. Those error-proof assignments, that's what you get when you go to a vendor training. Everything's set up and it works wonderfully, and you really think you know what you're doing. And because the last thing the vendor wants is for you to become frustrated if they're trying to sell you the software. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know, why isn't this showing up? What happened to my data? Are you going to buy this software? No. But if you're like, wow, this is easy, this is a breeze. Yeah, sign me up. Send me 5 licenses, no problem. And then a person that goes to and takes an error-proof training gets into a real situation where they make a mistake and then they can't solve it because it's not following that rote cookie cutter format. Okay, so yeah, Dr. Rob, would you mind sharing your other map?
Sure. Dr. Paget, I have a question. Sorry, it's kind of a dumb question. Is there a way on this map does the software allow to see say I click on France, is there a way I could tell what the population is? Is there a kind of a population layer that we could attach to the map? Is it?
Well, yes, perhaps. If you go to add, the powerful thing about, you go to add and then go to search for layers, and click out of my content. See where it says my content, that little arrow? Yeah, drop that, no, the other arrow. That's right next to where it says content. Yeah, the little teeny arrow. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah,
This one?
No.
Close.
Oh,
sorry. Sorry, I closed it. Search for layers, and then?
Go to add and then search for layers. Now see that little arrow to the right of where it says content, right? To that little teeny, yeah, that arrow. Yeah, that one. Yeah, click on that. Okay, go to, there's 2 choices. You can go to Living Atlas. Let's try Living Atlas. And then it says search for layers, type population, see where it says search for layers, just type population. And you'll get a whole bunch of shared resources of population. You have to just scroll down.
Oh, census populated places.
Yeah, that'll get you perhaps population in the United States. Globally, I thought I saw world population. No, that's daytime. Scroll up a little bit farther.
Down?
Yeah, down. I thought I saw, yeah, keep going. Okay, well, maybe we might want to do our search. We got 709 layers. Let's see. See, there's senior.
Should I say world?
Yeah, try world population. Maybe that'll get us more. Yeah. So yeah, that map that should do it.
Can I click on it?
Yeah, click on that and then go to add to map.
Add to favorites or?
The bottom, see where at the bottom it says add to map at the very bottom? Yeah, click there. Okay, now you can, yeah, so see where it says, see the little X? Well, that's just, not that. Okay, see the X, right? See right under where it says save, there's an X in the upper right-hand corner, not there, keep going. where it says save, go to see if you can find save, and it's in the okay. Now
Yeah.
go scroll down. See that little X? The X that's yeah, that X.
Yeah.
Okay, and that'll close that box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now that's out of the way. Now go to details, and then
Oh, well, here
legend.
it is.
Click right on where it says legend. Click on where it says legend. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now you have, now if you click on any country, you should see its population.
Oh, yeah.
So as of 2015. So the one of the more
Oh,
powerful
yeah.
things.
It's got 2016, 64,419, 64 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can go out and add any data layer that you want, because this is a shared resource. This meaning ArcGIS Online is a shared resource.
Wow.
And so, yeah, there's tons of data. As you saw, there were 709 different population layers available, and that was just in the Atlas. And there are other places to look for
Wow.
data. So,
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So, do you mind sharing your
The other map, the
the other map?
Waikiki.
Yes.
I picked Honolulu, Hawaii. So make your first map.
Yeah,
right?
that's the first.
Yeah, this is the National Geographic style map.
Okay, so if you hit legend, okay, go back to content, and you go back to the content that's in the not that the content that's in
Oh, I should go to the map, back to the map.
back to the map. Yeah, open it up. Open your map up.
Oh, this content. Yeah.
Yeah. And then okay. Yeah, I think click on where it says map. Oh no. Yeah, I think what happened was, again, you didn't save the map. So that's the one that's very important. Yeah, that's usually the first thing I do is when I start working on a map is hit save, because it's so easy to get caught up in what you're doing, and then you don't hit save, and then you have to leave the map, and then you close it, and then you realize you didn't save it, and then this is what happens. So so that's just a teachable moment in just being sure you save the map. Okay, so those exercises, like I said, are really just designed to get the students. You can stop your share now, please, Dr. Robin. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
try to share my screens. Yeah, so the exercises, let's see, which one was it? Yeah, exploring GIS maps using ArcGIS Online. Yeah, so this is just a really simple exercise that is ready to go as is. And you can change this to whatever you want. Doesn't have to be controversial public landmarks. It could be libraries. It could be whatever it is you want it to be, for them to symbolize on the map for and so I guess you might have noticed that this is a little tricky going back and forth between the instructions and the assignment. But like I said, you could change this to what you know, and I usually have the students answer the questions right here in the document, and they usually don't have any trouble doing it, you know. And you know, what's the landscape? This gets into it forces them to change the base map to determine what the landscape is. Because if they stay in the streets, base map, then they're not going to know whether it's farmland, mountain. So they're going to have to change the base map to something else. Just gets them into, because they'll learn that different base maps have different functionalities. And then so this is just a good exercise, just to get the students going. And this is just like the icebreaker. This is one that where, you know, they'll have to set up their own account at some point in this exercise. Even though I like it, I like doing it better with the icebreaker assignment, because it's less complicated. You'll go right to the link, as opposed to so again, here's the icebreaker assignment. Again, this one can be tweaked a lot of different ways, and I can help you do that. We're going to look at some other assignments that are similar to this one today, where you can ask the students to look up different types of data besides what you did here. So, and this is just an abbreviated version of what I usually assign. But this really teaches them a very important aspect of geospatial technology, and that is managing and manipulating data. So a lot of times students get caught up in the map. Oh, the map looks pretty, but it's actually the data that's the most important thing. And so when students are asked to, or when they have an internship, for example, I have a student now who is actually volunteering on a project that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But the individual who's kind of advising her wants her to create a map of property that can be purchased at the lowest cost within, in this case, the city of Mobile. And so, of course, she had no idea how to do that. And so she had to ask one of my graduate assistants, who was the last person who worked on it, how to dig into the city's tax assessor database and pull those data into an Excel spreadsheet and then display them on a map. So actually, you know, managing and organizing data is as important as being able to visualize things on a map. So what I'm going to do now is segue into a presentation. And so the presentation is democratizing geospatial technology. And so in a couple of these cases, the students actually have performed a service for the community. And really in all of my, my urban geography class is a service learning, designated service learning class at TSU. And so the students are required to use these tools in some form of service. You know, our motto is think, work, serve, and so that's what we do. So I'm going to pull this. So the presentation is on the course webpage, and so it's well, there it is right there. It's a PowerPoint. I'm going to go through it very quickly now, and then we'll start to think about, I'll have basically some templates for you to think about in terms of how can I develop an exercise for my class, whatever your class happens to be. And part of doing the icebreaker, allowed me to see what your various interests are. And then when we come back, we will attempt to give you some possible options for developing those materials. Then next week, you'll bring the syllabus and we'll actually have a working session. And for your homework, if you want, you can try to actually work through some of these assignments. But again, before we do that, I want to get into this presentation because it really gives a couple of examples of real world application of the technology. And I mean, I can do this presentation for any of your classes. It just kind of makes it a little bit more real. When, that's what students always want to know. Why do I need to learn this, right? And so we give them hopefully a reason why. It's to help people. So I've been working with the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice for several years now, and we work with communities, environmental justice communities throughout the Gulf Coast region. And let's see, well, 2 years ago, I keep thinking last year didn't happen basically, but 2 years ago, I was chosen by the American Geographical Society to be an ethical geo fellow. So the overarching theme of the ethical geo project is to demonstrate and develop ethical applications of geographic information systems. So, my project, Democratizing Geospatial Technology, has at its core making this technology accessible and usable by environmental justice stakeholder communities that they can use as a tool in their fight for environmental justice and against environmental injustice. So one of the projects, here are the project goals. I think I just said that. But one of the goals was to create a replicable tutorial that communities could use to, smooth out the GIS learning curve. As you all are probably discovering right now, GIS is not the easiest technology to master because it's not just the technology. You also have to develop a means of visualizing whatever message you want to send to a map reader. So you know how when you write something, you visualize your audience. I tell my students this all the time. I say, when you write your term paper, don't write it to me. Do not write it to someone who is a novice, because chances are, as a professional, when you are working, your population is not, chances are not going to be a bunch of college educated people. If you're in the social work or if you're going to be even a nurse or whatever it is you're going to do, you have to be able to communicate at very complicated information in a way that people can understand it, or else what's the point, right? I mean, if people don't understand what you're talking about, what's the point? So, so geographic information systems can be kind of complicated. And so my goal was to develop a replicable methodology for doing so. So here is the framework that was developed over a period of time. Here are the community-based organizations in the various cities that they're in. There are the symbols, and we're going to add others. Because I was familiar with these communities, I knew right away that I was faced with a generational gap. In other words, most of these organizations were dominated, and that's probably an understatement, by people from the baby boomer generation and older. And so, even though baby boomers bring a wealth of experience, connections, resources, in some cases, money, baby boomers aren't really technologically savvy. And I shouldn't say I'm right on the cusp. I'm 1964. I'm the last of the boomers. I'm like right on that cusp between boomers and Generation X. But I mean, I grew up with none of this stuff. I mean, we a remote control TV. I was a remote control. You know, David, get up and change the channel 6. Dave, change the channel, turn to channel 11. You know, I was remote control. And so when we only had 4 channels on the TV, maybe 5 if you were lucky. I mean, and that was it. And it went off at night. I mean, so then all this and the rotary phone. I mean, we didn't have any of this. There were no video games. I remember I was in middle school when that Pong came out. Dun, we got bored with that and just I haven't played video games since. But and so when faced with geographic information systems applications, I had some challenges working with my age mates. Some significant challenges. Whereas the younger people, no problem. So what really happened, which was that the young people who either weren't present at these meetings at all, or if they were present, they were in the back somewhere feeling left out. Here's where they contribute. You know, show your grandmother how to make this asset map. And so these aren't the original youth mappers that were created by Dr. Patricia Solis. The youth mappers that we created or recruited work with their elders so that we can get some things done in these communities. And it brought the generations together, you know, because the elders have the knowledge, they know what the community needs, and so on and so forth. A lot of the young people who live in these communities had no clue what was going on until they got involved in some of these projects. I'm going to talk about asset mapping in a moment, but a lot of what we did is similar to asset mapping, where we go out and I'll talk about that in a moment. But we use handheld GPS receivers if they're available. If not, there are mobile apps that are easy to install, such as, and like I said, you can start thinking about doing it. I guess now that we're going to be face to face, that opens up a lot of things that we didn't have the opportunity to do last year, such as asset mapping. Even though I've figured out a way to do, you'll see a project later on where we do virtual asset mapping. But there are tools like, this is an app called Where Am I At? And yeah, it's called Where Am I At? And there's another one called Where Am I? So one of them is for Androids, and the other ones is for the iPhone. I think Where Am I At is for the iPhone. But all this does is it does the same thing as a GPS receiver. It gives you your lat long coordinates wherever you are, and then you can transfer that right into a spreadsheet, just like we typed the lat. We got the lat long from Google Maps for what we did last week with the icebreaker, but it's a lot more, well, you'll see, it's a lot more fun and captivating when you actually do asset mapping live. So train people on the ground as you can, and you can kind of look around at, see gray hair. I mean, this is typical. This young lady here, that's my student, and this young lady is my student. So they were assisting us or assisting these their elders in this case in with this mapping project. You can look around the room. This is typical of the community-based organizations. Gray hair is probably class of 1980 or something. You don't see a single the young people you see are my students for the most part, but that's just typical. And so some of the projects that you might think of doing are and I do have an asset mapping exercise that we'll look at in a few minutes. And so you know, I over 30 years, I've done a lot of pathology mapping, I call it. You know, where are all the dumps in our community? Where's all the crime in our community? Where one community wanted me to map all their liquor stores. They thought that the source of all their problems in the community was because they had liquor stores. And what's interesting is when I overlaid liquor stores with a map of crime incidents, there was no correlation. The properties that had, we'll take a guess. Guess which types of property had the highest crime rates? Just anybody guess.
Churches. Churches.
Oh no, it wasn't churches. No. We haven't gone that far down. That'll be the end of. Excuse me.
Retail properties.
You're warm. It was actually grocery stores. I mean, think about it. Think about it. If you're a criminal, well, no, none of us here are criminals, but if you were, if people might go to a shopping mall, are you sure they have money? Maybe, maybe not. Do you know how long they're going to be in there? Don't know. People window shop, right? But if people go to the grocery store, chances are they're going to have some money, right? And they're not going to be in and out. Well, if it's me, I'm in and out. You know, I'm a seek and shop shopper. I can go in Kroger if we need milk, I'm coming out of there with just milk. Now, my significant other, who I hate taking to the grocery store, we can go in there to just get milk, and we'll come out of there with a whole shopping cart. I'm like, how did this happen? You know. So, but if you're a criminal, you know, the grocery store is just, people are just sitting ducks, especially at night. And a lot of vulnerable people who can be easily robbed go to the grocery store. You know, so yeah, that's what I found. It wasn't the liquor stores. But anyway, I did a lot of pathology mapping back in the day. But as I worked in the communities more and more, they started to ask, well, why don't we map the good stuff in our community? And I did this so much. This was interesting, I guess, for those of you who happen to be in Atlanta. I was doing a lot of this asset mapping, and Bernice King contacted me. And she wanted me to develop a GIS methodology to recreate her father's beloved community, right? So to take the aspects of the beloved community, quantify it, you know, what elements of a community would make it beloved, and actually assign an index to that, right? I mean, actually, I had the contract signed from the King Center. And then, you know, she got in that little tiff with her brothers over the Bible and the Nobel Peace Prize, which went, as you all know, went crazy in my whole, the whole thing got lost in the sauce. So that might be an opportunity. You know, you're right there in Atlanta. When you have a connection to Bernice King, she might still be open to it now that things have kind of, you know, settled down a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, that was a perfect example of asset mapping with a real goal of creating the beloved community. And then once we established the model of the beloved community, then we would take that model and replicate it to other cities nationwide and maybe even worldwide. You know, that's what was supposed to have happened. I literally had the contract, the ink was signed, and then all that went left or right or whichever direction.
Could you talk about how you would actually do that? Let's say attributes of the beloved community would be, I don't know, affordable housing, school, parks.
It is a whole process that we don't.
No, okay, so you get the attributes, and then what do you do with it? How do you?
Well, just in a nutshell, we would have, I guess, what would be basically focus groups. In, you know, have to go to the community first. Okay, what do you all want? What are your assets? What makes your community good? And then we would take a combination between the community's responses versus what was actually there. And so what we would do is say, okay, well, here's where you want to be, here's where you are. And then that would give us a value in terms of, so this, whatever this is 100, maybe we're at 75. So whatever we need to get to 100, we could quantify that. So let's just say, okay, let's say ideally we want to have one urban garden per 10 acres. I'm just making this up. So that's ideal. It's one urban garden per 10 acres. We have 5. Let's say the community has 5. So the goal would be, okay, in order to get the ideal number of urban gardens, we need to add 5 more urban gardens for every 10 acres. And we could actually use a map to see exactly where they could go. See what I'm saying? So there's urban gardens, grocery store, whatever, playgrounds, libraries, whatever you can quantify. Anyway, that was the idea.
Okay.
That's somewhere in my file. I couldn't believe it. I mean, can you imagine? Maybe y'all in Atlanta, but I mean, Bernice King called me on the phone. I was like, what? I heard about you. It's like, I'm like, Bernice King is in Atlanta, right? King Center, Bernie. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, it's very interesting. But anyway, but asset mapping is something that you could do in a class around the AU Center. I mean, around the campus there, the Metropolitan Highway. Who knows what's there? What could be there? I know it used to be the last time I was in there was a huge urban garden near Atlanta Metropolitan State Garden. It was gigantic. I don't know if it's still there. Anyway, but this was from the Buzzard Point neighborhood in Washington, D.C., and this asset mapping project was done. We first start with no tech. And again, depending upon your background, this would probably be most applicable to Professor Hurd's Environmental Justice Academy class. I mean, is that going to be a class at Atlanta Metropolitan State College, or I mean, I know
It's going to be a course, yes.
Okay, is that with Region 4, or is it just?
No, we're working on it, and I missed the inaugural meeting of what the course is going to actually be like, but we're sorting that out now. But it's possible that it would be in conjunction with EPA Region 4, but not likely. I think we want to do something independent that the school controls.
Okay, because I know that Cheryl Good sent me something. I can't remember. She sent me something because the EJ Academy actually, was there. Then it was at TSU. It was at TSU for 2 years.
Right.
Funded by the Forest Service.
Right.
Now that, I don't know where it is now. So, but I know it's not going anywhere. I'm like I didn't think it was anyway. Let's not. Anyway, but yeah, this is a type of activity that will be very applicable to that class. It's an asset or an eyesore. Let's go and look at let's look at the vacant lots. Let's look at vacant lots, not from the standpoint of, oh, this vacant lot is horrible. And it instead say, well, what could this be? Could this be an urban garden? Could this be, and I was in a meeting as a matter of fact, I was in a meeting in this neighborhood yesterday talking about this exact same thing. And one of the issues is absentee landlords. And so whoever owns this lot might be, who knows where this person might be. And they might have asked their son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, you look after my land. Okay, pops, okay, big mama, whatever, I got you. How's my land? Is there an urban garden? Oh, yeah, grandma, yeah, we got a garden, we're growing watermelons, everything out there, and it looks like this. And so one phone call to the actual owner of this property could completely change it. One phone call. And so what I've trained some of my students to do is to go back, look at the property tax assessor's files, and find out who owns this property. Give them a call. Hey, Miss Jones, Mr. Jones, did you know that your property is a vacant lot? What? That little rascal told me there was no garden, there's no urban garden. No, sir. Could we put an urban garden on your lot? Oh yeah, go right ahead. Bam, urban garden or playground or whatever. Just one phone call. So absentee landlords, that's a big issue in a lot of communities that have these lots that just sit there. Or a lot of times the city has condemned this property. The city owns this lot, and deals can be worked out. You know, even though most urban gardens are quote unquote illegal because it's agricultural land use on probably what is residentially zoned property, but that can be negotiated. You know, would you rather have this or something functional in your community, mayor? Most mayors and city council people will get around it. So looking at this or property like this, and one of the reasons why we walk through the walks is so that we can actually see what's out there. This is on Jefferson Street that goes TSU, Fisk, and Meharry are all basically on this street. And I used to drive past this every day. I never saw it until we walked because it's perpendicular to the road. So this is not facing the road, it's perpendicular. You blow right past in your car, never see it. But look at this, now you might look at it now and say, this is a mess. Let's just tear the whole thing down. Where's a match? But Morgan State University in Baltimore actually purchased a strip mall very similar to this one that was underutilized, and it's now redeveloping it and using it as a means to train their students in business management, property management, and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of thing that an anchor institution, church, school, Georgia State is doing this all over. They're taking over downtown and doing that kind of thing. So we can look at this and say, who owns this? Maybe we can do something different, make it look better, make it not be this is just an attractive nuisance for who knows what, but it could be something else. Now this is let me see what time it is. Okay. Now this is the project that I wanted to mention in terms of, oh man, this isn't the one with the link anyway. So New Orleans, Louisiana has a flooding problem, and they're getting ready to get hit with more rain this weekend, perhaps. And so the community-based organization I was working with wanted to map all of their catch basins, or what we would call storm sewers, because a lot of times they get clogged up. And when they're clogged up, they don't work. People get flooded. The city could not keep up with unclogging the drains and the catch basins. So this organization and other organizations collectively wanted to create a kind of, a form of, how we have Adopt a Highway. This is going to be Adopt Catch Basins. So different organizations will be responsible for keeping catch basins clear of sticks, trees, trash. And then the city could only deal with the ones that had real damage. Some of the catch basins weren't working because they would have pipes collapse underground. Obviously, the community can't do anything about that. But instead of the city having to run around and clean out every catch basin that had sticks in it, they could just focus on the ones that had real damage. So part of the solution was, let's map these catch basins. And I was working with some of my age mates, and we were working virtually. This was before COVID, as you can see, 2019. And I could not get my brothers and sisters from the baby boomer generation. They couldn't, it wore me out. I finally said, look, one of you all has a nephew or niece that says Xavier or Dylan. Just find them. I don't care if they have never heard of GIS. Give me somebody about 20 years old. So one of them actually had a nephew who was 20 years old. He was at Xavier. 2 hours. The young man had never even heard of GIS. 2 hours we had to map up, right? So I've been working with his uncles in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I wasn't getting anywhere. But one of the things that would happen is we would have a session, and with with my age mates. And after the session, they wouldn't touch it again until the next time we talked. Now, you know, we all have senior moments. I know I do. You know, you can't do GIS, not do it, and come back. It's not like riding a bicycle. You know, you go away from, even if I go away from this for a while, I'll come back and be like, hey, what am I? You know, so that was the problem. But the youth mappers, the young people, young person got it done. So this was a perfect example. But I guess a lot of the students that you were working with are in that age range, is 18 to 24, I assume. Maybe there's some non-traditional age students. And usually in that case, when I form groups, I'll always have some traditional age students, match them up with some non-traditional age students in groups. That near peer kind of that works. That works. But if you leave 4 or 5 40-something-year-olds together, and there's a lot of 40-something-year-olds and kids leaving the nest, time for me to go get my degree. And they're in there. You probably met them. And oh my goodness, last time they were in school, it was, you know, chalkboards, internet, Dropbox, what? You know, so yeah, but but if you team them up, the younger people can just walk them through it. Everybody learns something. Now here's an example of sometimes, and this is kind of getting into the weeds a bit, not really, but this was the Wedgwood community in Pensacola, Florida. This community is surrounded by about 13 landfills and borrow pits. Yes, it's a residential community. And you might ask how, I mean, you can literally look out somebody's backyard. I mean, not across the street, not down the street, fence line, huge borrow pit. I mean, I can't even describe how big these things are, right? And you might ask, well, how in the world could this happen? Well, it's Florida. It's the Florida Panhandle. And this is a Black community. That's 2 reasons. And also the zoning designations were done during a time when Black people couldn't vote in Florida. So that's how you get massive landfills in a residential community. So to add insult to injury, the Wedgwood community, the county, Escambia County, planned to build a 4-lane highway straight through their community. People were going to lose their houses, the eminent domain, all kinds of, you know, the construction, and then just the traffic. And so this was a community that, if you saw the first slide, these were the same people that attended my mapping session. And I really focused upon understanding how to see things visually and think spatially, which means a lot more than simply being able to blow through the assignments, you know, and just get it done without thinking. So this map is a map of topography, which is a map of elevation. And this was one of the maps that they used in the county commission meeting that showed a very simple thing, that water runs downhill. And so they showed that if that highway was going to be built, it would disturb the toxic constituents in these landfills, and all of those disturbed constituents would eventually run downstream towards the Gulf, where your more wealthy and white communities happen to be situated. And once they showed the series of maps to the county commission, that was the end of that highway. It was completely stopped. And the $13 million that had been committed to the highway was reverted towards infrastructure improvements in the Wedgwood community. And all it took was some people empowering themselves with maps. So it's not, they didn't necessarily use GIS. They just understood what you can do with maps to solve a problem or to present an idea, even one that was in opposition to the people they were presenting it to, because the county wanted to build that road. But when they saw, oh, really? Oh, we're all going to be exposed to these toxins if we build this road? Well, guess what? no more road, you know. So so this is another when this is the Turkey Creek community. It's a historically Black community in Gulfport, Mississippi. The community is being, I guess, targeted. I don't want to use the word targeted, but the state of Mississippi, the Gulfport Port Authority is planning to build an inland port facility for basically for the military in case there's a hurricane that threatens the shoreline port, and so they can move their equipment and everything to this inland port facility as a means of protecting their assets. But of course, this facility is bordered by the Turkey Creek community, and what the state and the city of Gulfport and the Port Authority are trying to sell the Mississippi Environmental Quality Commission on is that this neighborhood is industrial because it's zoned industrial, even though clearly there are people there. And then once again, how do you wind up with a residential neighborhood zoned industrial? Well, A, is Mississippi. B, they're Black people in Mississippi. C, again, when these zoning designations were made, these Black people in Mississippi couldn't vote. Well, not at risk of their lives. And we know the whole history, Medgar Evers, you know, behind that. Fannie Lou Hamer and everybody else working to resolve that. And of course, obviously, people lost their lives. So what we were doing is using EJ Screen, which is a GIS. It's on the same mapping platform as ArcGIS Online. And so you can actually pull data from ArcGIS Online into EJ Screen. So if you had your students go out and find, if you were able to purchase some of these little air quality sensors that you can wear on your belt or something and have students walk around the neighborhood and collect particulate matter data and then overlay that, you could pull those data into this map and show, this area not only has a high part of the population that could be exposed to PM 2.5, they're at a higher risk in terms of environmental justice populations. So this is another tool that you can use here. Okay, the Africatown project. So my class, okay, so do I have to, are you all familiar with Africatown and the Clotilda and all that? Yes, no, yes. Okay, so I've been working in Africatown before the discovery of the Clotilda through the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice. And then the Clotilda was discovered. And so all of a sudden, Africatown has now been descended upon. They were on 60 Minutes last week. I didn't see it. But yeah, there was a second segment on 60 Minutes last week about Africatown. And so what's happening is the Africatown community, descendants, people in Mobile, want to develop this site into a heritage tourism site, very similar to the Sweet Auburn district in Atlanta, right? But unlike the Sweet Auburn district in Atlanta, there is nothing right now in Africatown that could support anything amounting to tourism, but it's just right. I mean, this could be, when I was in Africatown, there were people, Black people, who were coming to Africatown, just drove down there just to see it because they heard the story. Now there's nothing there. There's no Africatown Center. There's nothing there. I mean, there's things there, but nothing that would give you a formal tour experience that could generate revenue. And so that's what this community wanted. So I was in a meeting earlier this year, like maybe in April or March. So the National Park Service is developing the Africatown Connections Blueway as a form of heritage tourism and recreation combined. So getting people to enjoy the water while learning about the history of Africatown, right? They didn't have a map. National Park Service, well, the part of the National Park Service that deals with culture and heritage, they don't have that technological capability. So I said, I'm teaching urban geography during Maymester, and I always require my students to perform some form of service with mapping. And I said, I'm pretty sure that my students will be able to produce the story map, at least a preliminary story map of the Africatown Connections Blueway. And they did in 3 weeks. And so here's the map. Hopefully this will work. You never know in PowerPoint. So this is the preliminary map. So and I also have in the have a YouTube video of the students presenting this map. So the assignment, which is not just they didn't just do the map. They had to write a research paper, and accompany the map, and they had all the other class assignments in the Maymester class. But I don't know where these students came from. This was like the dream team of students. I mean, they were amazing. I said, can y'all come back and take all my classes next fall? Don't graduate. Just stay here. Just sign up. Whatever I'm teaching, y'all sign up. Yeah. So here's the story map. And so story mapping is a way that if you are in liberal arts or social science, you can combine, in this case, history with GIS mapping. And it's really simple. When I finish this presentation, I'm going to show you a tutorial that has a template. You can go right through this whole process. So here are the various sites along the Blueway, and you can see where people can, recreate and learn about the history of. Here's Africatown Park, which is along the Blueway. It's a Blueway because it's water instead of a greenway. Yeah, so these students didn't know any GIS at all, didn't know anything about Africatown at all. And the Maymester class is 12 days all together over a 3-week period, and they got it done. I had every confidence that they could get it done. I mean, I didn't hold their hands either. I said, look, y'all, this is on you, But they performed a great service for the National Park Service, and most importantly for the people of Africatown. And I told my students, you can take this link and put it on your resume, and and that means something. That means something. And we're continuing with this because we're going to continue with this. I got some Title III funds to support the continuation of this project, and so on and so forth. And that's another thing, if you're interested, is I've found that I'm sure you have Title III there or whatever, that if you're doing some form of service project with this kind of mapping or this kind of technology, money shows up amazingly. One minute the university's broke, we're broke. We don't have any money. Get away from me. Oh, your students are using technology to solve community problems. How much do you need? How much you need, Doc? How much do you need? I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. So this is great. I mean, and I'm actually funding some students to continue working over the summer on this project. So, and like I said, having students produce something like this, that's tangible, that's research-based, they can just put this right on their resume, click on this link. A lot of resumes, I'm pretty sure, who's handing in paper resumes, but you probably send an electronic version, or I think even at Tennessee State, students can even have visual portfolios as part of their transcript. So a potential employer or graduate program can go in and click on this and be like, wow, this is amazing. And so yeah, so this was one of the big wins that we had. I'm also working in Houston, Texas. This is something that this urban air quality issue is huge. I think Dr. Nataki Osborne at Spelman is working on she's leading an EPA-based study of the urban heat islands effect and air pollution. I just talked to her today about something. Here is another story map project. Now this one is in Overtown in Miami. Overtown is a historically Black community that is being threatened by gentrification. And so the very first slide you saw was when we were doing the community walkthrough in Overtown. And so we built, working with the community, we first started off with an asset map. I think this is the asset map. So the community went through, and in this case, they specifically wanted to identify community assets. And I broke them up into different categories. Here were youth, arts, and education. So this is an asset map that we got by walking through the community, identifying assets, largely of historical value. And so the goal of the Overtown community and Catalyst Miami organization that's working with them is to preserve these sites. So first we started off with an asset map, and then they said, well, we want a story map. And so I worked with the community, created a story map next. So this is the Overtown community story map. And so what happened was when this story map was presented to the larger community, a lot of the elders came out and said, oh, these aren't all the historical sites in Overtown. I remember this here and that over there and this, that, and the third, so the elders came out and so what has happened since then is the project has evolved into this going Overtown map. And so I didn't even know that it was there. I was in Miami and I went to Red Rooster, walked outside of Red Rooster, and I saw this placard on the ground and I started reading this. I said, wait a minute, I wrote that. Like, where'd this come from? So I scanned the QR code. And so they actually, one of the things that they're going to do is, in addition to having the story told from these QR codes from points along the map tour, they're going to include voiceovers from some of the elders who will give first-person accounts of what was happening at the Clyde Killens Pool and Recreation Center back in the day in 1954, because obviously a lot of these buildings are no longer there, but you can still have a voice that can share that. And so this is where we can get into humanities, into arts, into all aspects of course offerings using this technology in classes that aren't necessarily technology based, such as art. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Now, this might already exist. I'm going to look it up after this. This came to me just now. Is in Nashville, there's been like these millennials. There's this murals movement. So they're so in Nashville, every now and then they have a murals tour. Like there's this huge mural of John Lewis on Auburn Avenue. I think is that Auburn? Yeah, Auburn Avenue. Giant mural of John Lewis. I'm sure there are other ones around Atlanta. The question is there a map? Is there a map? If I wanted to go to Atlanta and see all of the murals, where would I look? Is there a map? Now, there probably is a map, but I'm thinking if there isn't, there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. I'm sure there's got to be. It's Atlanta. I mean, come on, somebody's done this. But if not, or like I said, some of the murals aren't that well known. Or I've seen Nashville has a murals map, but there's no story to go along with it. You can see where the murals are, but you don't know anything about the artist. You don't know anything. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have a story map of the Atlanta murals, and you could click on it, and the artist who did the mural would speak about why he or she did the mural. I mean, sometimes don't you see a mural? Sometimes you're like, well, what does that mean? You don't know. You know, and some people, you know, anyway. But yeah, so there are opportunities. I mean, murals. I've had a lot of requests to do renewed Black-owned business maps post-COVID because we lost a lot of them, and a lot of them have started. So a lot of people rolled the dice and started Black-owned businesses during COVID for whatever reason, and they've thrived. But they're not going to be in the normal listing of Black-owned businesses because it's so soon. Things are just opening up. Don't we want to draw traffic to those businesses that either A, survived, or B, just opened? So there's just a lot of ideas that can be in this. And then, so this presentation is in your the course. So I just thought that, you know, like I said, I could do this presentation for your class. Usually I like doing something like this at the beginning, so that the students, if they're like, "Why are we doing this? I don't want to do all this. This is just an art class. Why am I?" Okay, well, here's why. You know, so okay, so what I've done is I've posted some assignments that you don't necessarily have to do. So I think I have two that might be of interest to Dr. Crawford. Now, this one, this mapping and understand, let me go to student view just so that I will see it the way you see it. Okay, let me start over. Okay, GIS assignment. Yeah, see, where did it go? Where? Oh, it's two. Yeah, it is. The urban heat island assignment. This one is a little bit complex, but it is a you know, actually this assignment was I created to work in a virtual environment, but you might have to work in a virtual environment anyway. So don't pay attention to that. This is from my urban geography class. So that assignment 6, that was from the class. So this, most students probably, well, anyway, I always include creating a public account, because we know that sometimes when you have group work, sometimes the group is a group of one, everybody else is riding along, and then you say, well, no, this is an individual assignment. So a lot of students might not, you know, always give them a chance to create their own account. Don't assume that these students are creating their account. Always have that in there. So, okay, so if they've already created, all right, we can go on past all of this. And so now what I would ordinarily do, anyway, I'm not gonna talk about let's talk about what this is. So go to the Weather Underground site, and I actually used Atlanta as the case study city for this assignment. So, wow, that worked out, didn't it? So you type a zip code into the Weather Underground site, and then you'll find a group of zip codes. I'm gonna have to take this out. This is from my class, but it's the same thing. Shared spreadsheet. Okay. Well, yeah. So let me click on this just to show you what it looks like. You can just, like I said, you don't necessarily have to do these. Just use them as open with Google Sheets. So here you can see each student, and just like we did last week, goes, finds, I assign them zip codes because they don't live in Atlanta, but your students do live in Atlanta. So in order to model the urban heat island effect, what I did with my class was I took zip codes and had them go north, south, east-west from the inner city out to the suburbs. And so in theory, the temperatures observed should get lower as we get farther away from the inner city, or maybe not. You know, that's why, you know, we do this. So here are the students. And so they were able to do this in a shared spreadsheet. Again, if I were you, I would start off walking them through how to fill out the spreadsheet first, but always save it, because there's always that student that will come in here and will delete everybody, not on purpose, not being malicious, but just doesn't understand what shared means, right? So here the students enter the data. They each student use a different weather station. Now we did this all in one setting because of the nature of the data being urban heat islands data. I wanted them all to get temperatures from their weather stations at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It'd be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that is about the peak heat of the day. And then they, of course, got the current temperature at the time at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or close to it. You know, we stumbled around a little bit. Then they could also go back on these weather stations, get the high temperature and the low temperature and the average temperature. And then I explained to them that the reason that we get the low temperature is that heat stress upon human beings occurs when the city doesn't cool off. You know, so, and we could see the difference in terms of the diurnal temperature gap in different parts of town. And so notice that here we had, let me see. Well, this was in the spring, it was in May, so we don't really see, but you know, here's a good example. Here's 81 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. Okay, that's pretty warm, but it cooled off to 54.9 degrees Fahrenheit at night. So that's good. A person with COPD, elderly person without air conditioning has a chance to recover at night. But what we have problems is when it's 91 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, 85 degrees Fahrenheit at night, no break in the heat. You know, so that's why we examine, and we can symbolize all these data on a map. And I think I need to find that.
So you would see those higher temperatures in downtown apartments or areas where there's a lot of concrete. Is that?
Yeah, and that's why we do land cover classification, so that we would say, okay, well, let's look at, can we see a pattern between land cover and temperature? And then we have a actually, let me I know I have this in here somewhere. No, that's not it. Wait a minute. I'm signed in. Am I signed in? I'm not signed in anywhere. All right, let me just I'm signed in. Okay. Let's see, which I'm almost sure. I'm gonna show you this map. Okay, boom, signed in now. I hope this is the one. If you also, there's another way to get the content. If you hit this home button and then go to content, here it'll take you to content also. I'm trying to think. Oh, perfect. Atlanta Urban Heat Islands Analysis Map. That's gotta be it. I guess it almost have to be it, right? All right. So here's the map. It uses so again, if I go to the legend, so here are all the students in their weather stations. And well, this is the land cover. I can change this to urban heat islands for US cities. So all these data you can pull down from ArcGIS Online. So here's a urban heat islands index for each city. Here are the results of my students' weather stations. And so, of course, this student here is, so here, this is the one that had the high of 86.2, low of 61.2, 20 degrees Fahrenheit difference, which is okay, but again, this is May, this was in May, so it's not in a really bad part of the year. And so you can clearly see where students, and in terms of answering some of the questions, it forces them to change the base map. Okay, let's change the base map. And then you can see, okay, well, why is this weather station getting cooler temperatures? Well, it's pretty obvious. Look, there's trees all around it. Whereas whatever's going on over here, and I can go to the urban heat islands layer, change the transparency setting, and now we can see through the layer to what's underneath, and we see a much more, there are less trees in that. You can see there's a much more densely developed piece of property that corresponds to higher heat. So there's all kinds of fun ways that we can, with this exercise, let's see, where is it? Yeah. And so here are the instructions. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to try to do this. This is a kind of a complicated exercise, but if you walk the students through it, they get a pretty good idea of what are the science factors, what are the quantitative factors behind what determines the urban heat island effect or urban hotspots. So that is one assignment that maybe Professor Hurd or Dr. Crawford might be interested in that assignment, maybe tweaking it for whatever. If you wanted to, let's say, in building a data set, let's see, I have another, okay, while we're here, let's see, I gotta, if I can find this very quickly. I'll have to find it next time. I have the instructions for the, oh, wait. It's in here. Darn it. No, that's not it. Come on. Oh, here it is. So this is so that same class, that not only did they have to do a the Africatown map as a group, they had to do an individual paper. Now this is not on the website. I just have this where they had to assess the urban population vulnerability to COVID-19. So there is a way that maybe that you can add other variables, health-based variables, not at this scale. Now this scale is at the citywide scale, but there are options for health data. Well, here it is right here, the places database. Now this places database comes from the Centers for Disease Control, but what's really unique about it is you can look at a variety of health issues all the way down to the census tract scale. And so let's zoom in on. So let's look at asthma. So asthma, of course, was an underlying health issue related to COVID-19. So here we can go all the way in. And I gotta find where's the legend. Anyway, but you can, the color ramp here is good. So even without the legend, no, legend. I guess I can hit here. Well, here's the census tract, and so number of adults with asthma. 18 years or older was 11.3 percent. And I think the national average is about 10%, 9 or 10%. So this, obviously, these darker census tracts have higher higher percentage of adults with asthma. So you can just see it. And I'm sure that, I mean, I'm not from Atlanta, but I can probably guess who lives over here in Southeast Atlanta. And, well, excuse me, Southeast Atlanta, DeKalb, and I can probably guess who lives over in Southwest Atlanta without even knowing much about it. But you've got, you can look at COPD, which is also related to COVID, diabetes, if you're talking about food deserts. So I do have an assignment in here. I'm sorry for going so fast. I do have an assignment in here, a food deserts mapping assignment called the Urban Community Foods Asset Mapping. Now this one requires students to look at their own communities. And again, here's the option to create their own page. So the first thing that they would do is do a sketch by hand of food assets within approximately 1 mile of their home. And so so first, just by hand, without driving around, what's out there in terms of food assets. I've also included, let me just show you an example of this. It's posted alongside of this. I also have a general asset mapping assignment. Okay, so here's this urban assets mapping assignment. And I just wanted to pull this one up just to show you. So I think I have an example of what a student might turn in. So here's, again, the assignment. And then now this is just a general asset map. And so I just wanted to show you this because I actually left an example of a hand-drawn sketch in. Doesn't have to be a work of art. And so here's the Kroger, Farmers Market. Here's Cupcake Collection. There's whatever, Big Al's Deli, Rescue Mission, in case somebody needed food from there. Excuse me. And this was just a general asset map. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So these are just general assets. But if it was just food assets, then obviously it would be Germantown Pub, Kroger, Garden Brunch Cafe, Farmers Market, things like that. Just have either from memory, just students just do a sketch. Then they take that sketch, go into Google Maps, then just like we did last week, get the latitude and longitude of those assets or food assets, depending upon what it is. And then they will, so here's the instructions for how to click on an asset, get the lat long, put that in the database, and then of course save it as a CSV file, and then you get your final result. But I just put those exercises there. If you want to try to work through them, fine. If not, just use them as a basis or a template for developing your own assignments for your class. Now, Professor Hurd, you take every last one of these is probably applicable to the environmental justice.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Robbie, what are you teaching again? I forgot. I'm sorry. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, mute.
Thank you. I teach a reflective seminar class. Students come from the university system institutions. As we were, going over this, it's interesting. I think every one of them has done some kind of voluntary work. So I could, explore a project that kind of involves some type of GIS. It is possible, but I can't think of anything right now.
Oh, well, you can take a whole week. We can discuss it. But you said these students come from. Are they? You said they come from other. Are they transfer students or?
Um, they are all pursuing undergraduate degree course in organizational leadership or healthcare administration. And this
Okay.
is like a capstone course that they do. They do 3 of these 1 credit hour reflective seminars, and they reflect on their prior experiences and figure out what their learning style is and what leadership qualities they have, and based on what experiences they have lived through. And it's basically study of their learning experiences, the application of learning theories to their individual learning styles. But
Okay, I mean, there's if you just bring this, or you can, or through the week, you can share the syllabus with me, and then I'm sure that we can figure out something. If nothing else, they can do the icebreaker assignment. But yeah, if I take a look at the syllabus, I can probably figure out some way to get either one of these or some other exercise to fit your course content. Um, yeah, and Dr. Crawford, what classes were you planning to implement GIS in?
I'm merely here for support. I know that we were really trying to involve this for the STEM grant and for the AMIR classes, so I was just a backup to that. I'm teaching some of the biology courses, and I was trying to think of where we can squeeze something like that in. I know at the end of the semester we started talking more about ecology and
Mhm.
uh, community relationships and things like that. I We have so much content to deal with. At the
Yeah.
end it kind of gets jumbled. So I may be able to implement something like that. I know we have some like side programs that may benefit from a project like this. Um, I know I just worked with what they call it, Upward Bound. We brought in a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
students, and they wanted to get some experience dissecting. They don't get a chance to do that in Clayton County
Oh
School.
okay.
So they were really interested in the students being exposed to things that they normally don't get a chance to see or do. I might work with them, possibly. Um, maybe utilize this as something else they can do to increase their skill set of something they normally wouldn't be exposed to. So, but I'm mainly here to be a backup if the AMIR professors.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So you got the Amir course possibly, because we I think we did this in
You
the
did
Amir
that one for the
course
Amir
last
course, yeah.
fall.
That's
And
probably, I might end up teaching Amir this year, which is fine. But I'll give it some thought over the week and kind of talk to Dr. Ako and see what he kind of has in mind for me this coming term.
yeah,
But
okay. So yeah, we'll like I said, we'll do a working session next week. Just bring your syllabi, and we will we'll it might be about it might be like making sausage, but or
we'll get
but
it
at the
done.
end, who doesn't like sausage, even if it's turkey sausage,
Well, that's a stretch.
crossed over.
Turkey sausage, not so much.
But yeah, it's fun. Just yeah, but before we just one quick I used to teach GIS to upper bound students years ago, and so you know how it is if you've ever taught upper bound. It's summertime, and those kids they're being themselves, and so the rising seniors were okay. They were like, okay, look, I got to get my life together. You know, I'm kidding. They were fine. The little ones, the rising ninth ones come from eighth, they were still young enough that I could scare them. You know, I just grab one of them up and say, if the first one of them that did anything, I just jacked them up. The rest of them were like, ooh, Dr. Paget ain't playing, ooh, you know. But they put the rising sophomores and rising juniors in the same class. I couldn't get them to do anything, okay? Anything. So one day, just by chance, I had all girls. No problem. I said, oh, now I see it's the hormones, right? But you know, upper bounds of federally funded program can't separate by gender, but I would separate by last name. You know, so had the girls by themselves, boys by themselves, no problem. But then we had a site visit. So I had to put them back in the same class, right? Now there was one girl from the girls group who got GIS. I mean, she got it. Every now and then you have a student that just gets it, right? She was helping me out with the other girls. So look, you help me out, help. Now they're together, girls and boys, right? The same girl. I don't know what I'm doing. Can one of you fellas help me? I was like, oh, no. We had to have a family discussion. I was like, look, don't you young ladies ever dumb yourselves down. Look, young lady, they can't help you.
Yeah.
You need to help them. Don't ever dumb yourself down. And I said, fellas, think about it. If you get to a certain point where you want to start a family, do you want a smart woman to be your kid's mother or a dumb woman? Think about that. You know, I want to, okay. See, ladies, they don't look y'all. But yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe, I mean, I've heard about this gender thing. I couldn't. I mean, she just, damsel in distress. I mean, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. No, not today. But yeah, that was
an eye opener.
That was see, I don't have any kids, so every time I work with kids, I don't know what I'm doing, and people can tell. But maybe somebody who has kids will know right away, oh, this is hormones. I just could not figure out why I could not get that. They were like 14 and 15. Couldn't get them to do anything, nothing, until that day I just happened to have all girls, and I was like, okay. But yeah, that was just yeah, but that one young lady, she was sharp. I mean, she just picked right up, helped me out to them. I don't know which chromosome, X, Y. All of a sudden, she didn't have a brain. She was helpless. I couldn't believe it. We can't be socialized. No. I never forget that. Yeah, but I used to love teaching upper bound, you know. But what's scary is when you walk out and they get in, some of them they get into cars and you're like, wait, they let you drive? You, with Justin here acting a complete fool, you behind the wheel. I'm walking, I'm off the streets, you know, I'm scared. But you forget that you did learn to drive when you were 16. But you know, I'm thinking like,
not anymore. They're learning to drive at 20, 21, 25.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's true. That's
another story. Anyway, I've got another unbelievable after this. I got another course, so.
Okay, well, just we can talk between now and next week. Like I said, syllabi next week. We're gonna have a working session by the end of the period next week. Hopefully we'll be ready to have something to deliver in your classes.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, have a great weekend and happy Father's. Well, I don't know if it applies, Brian, but doesn't apply to me. But if it applies to you, happy Father's Day.
Sounds good.
Bye.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.